bless everyone that supported us in every year that I've been here. Bless those who gave us breakfast this morning. I ask thee, Lord, to bless every co-worker that we have in Greenwood. The kids this year have an angel beside them coming and going on the buses, that we have angels surrounding our schools to let us get going in the right way. Lord, I ask thee most of all that you put your holy hand over every one of us to know that you are so great and good. Heavenly Father, I want to bless our food. Thank you for those who have given us this food this morning and for lunch. Lord, thank you for everything you do for every one of us. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
This is quite a festive atmosphere that we've got here. Why would you want to listen to an old man if y'all having this much fun? But I'm not an old man, so we don't have to worry about that. I have just been reminded as I went out to the restroom here in this wonderful center, and I've never been here before. It was quite an improvement for this Bush Center to be remodeled and brought up to date here. But that as Mr. Elliott has asked the question about what Greenwood means, Greenwood's independent school district, goes back a long ways in history. But to me it's emotional to see this enthusiasm and crowd that we have. And this is just staff and teachers. This is not students. Can you imagine 4 total staff and teachers? One table sitting here is more people than we had on staff as teachers, bus drivers, superintendent, all together back in 1946. I started first grade, 1946, at the school that was a forerunner of Greenwood. It was known as Pearlie School. It was at the intersection there where the new Catholic Church has recently been built. That's where the Pearlie School last was. And it was a school, 4-room schoolhouse, big windows. No air conditioners, You had to have big windows. Didn't always have electricity, so you needed windows so the sunlight could come in. But that school had been in other places before it landed there, that particular building. But one thing about that building that I was reminded about by being here and what a nice facility this is, that building didn't have indoor plumbing. We didn't have indoor water fountains. We had a windmill. We had what we call a hydrant standing up on a pipe about 3 foot tall. If you wanted to drink the water, that's where you went to get your water. So what does Greenwood mean to me right now? It means progression. It means growth. It means enthusiasm. It means trusting your neighbor. It means loving your neighbor. It means all those things about teachers that care for your development. And it's just amazing to me to see this group of teachers and think, this is Greenwood. This board of trustees, aren't they young? Aren't these teachers young? This is exciting. You know, and this is not the end result. It's continuing to grow, continuing to be. I want to go back just a minute to this schoolhouse that we had, no indoor plumbing. I want to tell you a little story about trust. You know, you learn a lot of things in school other than reading, writing, and arithmetic. In fact, you can learn a lot of those things at home, and you can learn trust at home. My brother, three years older than me, was in charge of our lunch money. He went to the outdoor outhouse. He dropped their dollar bill in the hole. Not on purpose, it was an accident. But he needed somebody to help him get it out. I was a first grader. He was a third grader. He was big and strong. He grabbed my feet and dropped me in the hole. And I came out with that dollar. That's one of the biggest lessons I learned in school. Is to trust your brother. You know, at that time, the school, Fairley School, located there at that corner, the road that you now call 307 was Cloverdale Road, and it was not paved. But during that school year, we got to go out on the road because they were hauling some caliche in, and after school, we were waiting for that station wagon. That was the station wagon owned the trustees to listen to this, because we had one station wagon, wood panel station wagon. I guess there's a controversy whether it was a Plymouth or a Ford, but anyhow, we had this little station wagon that delivered the kids back to the west, and it came back to the school to deliver the kids to the east. So I was in the east group, so I had to wait till it got back. You know, sometimes we would not wait. We'd just go ahead and start walking. It was just 2.5, 3 miles. So we'd just go walking down the road. Somebody might come along and give us a ride or whatever. But anyhow, that's when that road was, back in 1946 and 47 was when that road was extended down to what we call our intersection, where we have the light there at Greenwood now. That's when that was done. Well, I did graduate from the second grade, and I've got a good report card that my lovely wife has had encased in the plastic to show my good grades. Mrs. W.E. Pigg was my teacher there in the second grade at Fairley School. But at the beginning of the next year, after I graduated from the second grade, we had a new school. And it was down at the location where Greenwood is. And that's when Greenwood became Greenwood. It was a consolidation of the school of Fairley, Stokes, and McClintock. Stokes was about 3 miles east on 307 there, located there on the south side of the highway. McClintock's on down south, close to where Carolyn Dunn lives. But that's when Greenwood became Greenwood, 1947, or 48, I guess I should say. When the third grade, my third grade year, going into the school, I became a student at Greenwood. instead of paralegal. But, you know, Greenwood then, with the facilities that we had, the board that we had, the teachers that we had a wonderful, wonderful spirit about improvement. And I think that's what we see here today, is improvement, you know. I would like to point out, how many gyms do we have now? Well, I don't know, we're gonna have some more. But you know, we got what, 5 or 6, or I don't know what the number is, but it's larger than 0, I know that. We did not have a gym at all anytime I was at Greenwood, because you got to think, then it was not a senior 12 grade school, it was 8th grade school. So I had 6 years there at Greenwood. We had the opportunity to make our own basketball court by grubbing out the mesquite and marking it off. Coach Dick Riley knew the dimensions of a basketball court, and he knew what a basketball looked like, and he got us a couple of them. And we marked it off. James Brooks was part of that group that helped rub that mesquite out. You know, that was exciting times for us because, you know, they got us some little uniforms, and we developed a basketball team, we thought. And we played out on that rough ground, smoothed it up best we could. We did the same thing with our softball team. We made our softball field, backstop, and, you know, put everything in place with Coach Riley. And then, anyhow, I don't want to get too far into this other program because we've got some other speakers that's going to explain everything further on. But I just want to point out to the school board what a wonderful job that is. You know, my dad served on the school board, and I just think of all those names. I'm not going to try to name all of them, but those men and women that sacrificed their time and their family time to be there and serve on that school board. And that's such a job that we all need to appreciate, you know. And I just admire people that serve on that now and try to make the school a better place, you know, for our students, for our community, and just that goes back to those words: progress, improvement, excellence, things that, you know, are good in our lives. We've got a lot to be thankful for in the freedoms that we have here in America. I mean, it's amazing what choices we can make and things that we can do. That there's not a building there in Greenwood now that was there when I was a student. The Round Top Gymnasium was put into use the year that they shipped me off to San Jacinto Junior High here in Midland. When I went into the 9th grade, those students right behind me had a gym, a gymnasium. To that point, we had only gone to schools like Brady or Klondike, some of those little schools that had gyms, but Greenwood didn't have one. But Greenwood built one, and that was in addition to the little 2-wing 8th grade school that we had there, which was a tremendous improvement from the 4-room schoolhouse that we had. And we actually had a cafeteria added there, but the Stoke Schoolhouse was moved next door to the Greenwood, or to the Fairleigh School that made Greenwood. It was moved in there, and that became our cafeteria. And we had an indoor restroom facility. So that was all my credit goes to that good school board that saw that happened. anyhow, I just want to say that I'm thankful that my children had the opportunity to attend Greenwood, my grandchildren, and I just thank these teachers. Some of you teachers I don't think were there in the beginning. They look pretty young to me, but God bless you. Appreciate each one of you that's making Greenwood a great school.
I'm not as old as Roy, but I'm plenty old, and I might even be on this one. I am so old that I was born in a house, not in a hospital, and it was right across the road from Greenwood Elementary right now. It was just north, and it was on my grandparents' land, and the community was really composed of mainly just Greenwood Baptist Church, the school, houses, and most of the people that lived at Greenwood were farmers and ranchers, and maybe some of their workers that worked for them. Later, we had lots of kids come in that lived at Sprayberry, and their dad worked in the oil wells and the oil refineries and stuff at Sprayberry. I think we had like 2 buses that would carry the kids around Greenwood area, and 2 would go to Sprayberry. So in that time, we really did grow, but nothing compared to now. Our church meant so much to our community, and it made us so much of a family together. Everybody knew each other. If anything happened in any family, we were always there to help or do what we could in any circumstances. My family was very dedicated to education, and my granddad was on the school board at Greeley. My dad was on the first Greenwood ISD school board. My father-in-law was on the school board when they voted to build a high school and build a new building. And it was on the west end of what is elementary right now. And the only thing standing from when I was in school is probably the old gym over at elementary. When I think back to Greenwood, there's always one man that sticks out in my mind, and he probably influenced me to become a teacher. And he was just so dynamic, and he started so many things at Greenwood. And he came when I was in 3rd grade. He had a square dancing club that he made for us. We would go to talent shows and all, and around Midland, Odessa, and compete in talent shows. And we had 4 partners. And we won one big trophy that used to be in elementary with a picture of us, and I don't know if it's still there or not. But this special man was Bill May, and he will always be in my heart for all my life. At the time, our school colors were royal blue. Our yearbook was called Treasures. He had a contest I think I was like in 5th grade. And the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade voted to, they had a contest to see who could name the mascot. The one that won was a girl in 8th grade, and I don't remember her name. But he's told me this story years later. But, she said Greenwood Rangers, and that was the one that won the contest. And on the ballot, well, she had to put why you would name our mascot that. And she said, after the law enforcement, Texas Rangers. And the reason is because they always get their man. We went through 8 grades, like Roy was saying, and we even had a graduation exercise. We went through all the processes, marching down the aisle, with speeches. The boys wore suits, the girls wore formal dresses. Good memories. And then Roy went to San Jacinto. When I came, I went to Austin Junior High, which is lead freshman now. And then for the 10th, 11th, and 12th, we went to Midland High. One story that I could tell, won't near do what Roy's would do, but just to give you an idea of what it was like in our small community at that time, is my dad was a farmer and rancher, and we lived in the brick house that's just west of TJ's, and he had cows north of the Interstate 20. At that time, it was just Highway 80, and it was 2 lanes, and we would, he said that he was going to drive the cattle over there on horses. So the family and friends gathered, and I'm sure he called the sheriff's office, because I think there was a deputy down at 1110 and 307 to stop the traffic. And he said that my job was to be on 307, and I was in high school at this time, and drive the car to the middle of 307 when I saw the cows coming up 1110, and stop the traffic and turn the cows if they started my way to go into the house, to go to the pasture behind the house. So, can you imagine 307 now? But, and it really worried me because I was scared I would get the car stopped and run or whatever. We got it done. Greenwood Baptist Church is one of the main things about Greenwood. It is the school and it is the church. The building of Greenwood Baptist Church is no longer there that I grew up in. But it's not the building that makes a church, it's the people. And my hope is that our church will continue to serve God and let His love be shown throughout the Greenwood community. And even though we still have our services across the road, I hope that we can continue to do this. And remember, you're all invited. We love to have anyone, so please do. My teaching career was so important to me. And I know that it's hard and the days go by and you get disgusted and worried, and it is so stressful some days. But when you get my age, you look back and you really see the good, and you don't remember the bad things that went on. And thank goodness we didn't have cell phones when I was teaching. Well, we did, but not very much, and it surely wasn't like this. And they'd say, well, I need to call my mother. And I'd say, no, you don't need to call your mother. And if she might need me. And I said, if she needs you, she can call the office and they'll come get you. So that wasn't even a problem back then. And I can't even imagine what it's like right now. I know I ramble on, it's not very organized, but I know you don't want it to be very long, because I was in your shoes for many, many years. So hang in there. And what Greenwood means to me, I think it's home to me, because it's where I grew up, and it means love. The love that is given in our school makes such good people. And that is our job, to teach these kids that they will be ready for life when they get to be an adult. And we want them to have good memories, and we want them to have the pride of Greenwood like I have. My prayers with all of you today, that you will have a great year. Remember my class rule: do unto others as you would have them do to you. And my motto has become, and I think this is very important for life, for students, for adults, for everybody. My motto: look for the good. Thank you.
I was 6 foot tall and I didn't have gray hair. Y'all wore me down. I started as a superintendent secretary, and I had 3 kids in school, and I was a single mom. And they ended up raising themselves because I was raising Greenwood people. And we made it, but it became such, I said I wasn't gonna cry. I'm not crying. Y'all just imagining I am, I'm not crying. That was such an integral part of our life. We didn't do anything that wasn't Greenwood. We had the shirts, we had the shoes, we had all the stuff, the banners we put on our cars. We made run-through signs for the buses. It was a great time. My kids enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. But then it started getting bigger and bigger, and so we got our own little groups going. My kids were all involved in athletics. So we played basketball, we played football, we played hopscotch. They said if we'd have had tiddlywinks, we'd have done that too. We did the UIL stuff, the storytelling, the picture memory, all those kind of things. We were in band. My oldest daughter was in the first band that we ever had. They had the Columbia blue sweaters with white pants. We called them the Smurf band. Y'all remember the Smurfs? She played the French horn because she was left-handed. What that had to do with it, I don't know, but the basketball coach was the band director. So he had his French horn, he needed somebody to play it. She was left-handed. Here, do this. We did. It was, she was my not valedictorian, what's the second one? Salutatorian, basketball, track, tennis. Yes, we had a tennis team. There was about 6 or 8 kids that played tennis. That was our tennis team. We really had a tennis court. It was behind the elementary school. There was 2 courts, so we could play tennis with the best of them after that. My second daughter was the cheerleader, the homecoming court girl, all those things. She played basketball, softball. It wasn't a school softball thing. Schools didn't do softball back then, but it was a softball team. My son Bucky was K through 12. Wendy and Bucky both went K through 12. We moved there when Stephanie was in the 2nd grade. But he played football, baseball, basketball, ran track, all those things, chased the girls, all that good stuff. Then I had one grandson who went to school there. He graduated in 2012. So our life revolved around that school. As the superintendent's secretary, there was 3 people in the administration building, the superintendent, myself, and a receptionist. But she was the cafeteria manager, so she only worked during the school year. She didn't work during the summertime. So we all wore all these different hats. I have mopped floors. I thought about not telling you this, but you're gonna relate. When kids missed the bus, didn't get on the right bus, didn't know what bus to get on, they brought them to our office, and we babysat them until mamas and daddies or grandpas or whoever's figured out where they were, because nobody had cell phones back then. And we babysat them until somebody came to pick them up. One little girl who was a kindergarten had to go to the bathroom. She locked herself in the bathroom and then couldn't get out. Well, it was me and her, and everybody else had gone home, and Mama hadn't got there yet. I finally convinced her if she would reach up and turn the thing, she'd get the door unlocked. Simple, right? Well, she couldn't figure that out. So she finally got it out. Well, she had a problem while she was in there. So we had a mess to clean up. And I thought, I can do this. I'm a mom, I've done this before. But I never had done this with somebody else's kid. But we got it done. They would admit there was little kids that would, one little girl who was in her first day of school there as a new student, got on the wrong bus, didn't know where to get off because it didn't look familiar to her, so the bus driver brought her back to the admin building. And one of the guys at the bus barn, and David knows who he is, said, Linda, we need a granny. So we got in the little van with this little girl, and we said, where are we going? And she said, this way. So we went that way. We drove around until we figured out something that looked familiar to her. We get down the road, and sure enough, here's somebody sitting on the side of the road thinking, they'll bring her home. I know they'll bring her home. We did. We got her home. That was the whole Greenwood persona, if that's what you want to call it. You took care of what had to be done. You did what had to be done. You were grannies to somebody else's kids. You were mamas to somebody else's kids. It was one big happy family. We did have our fights. We did have problems, but those went away when the good things came along. When my kids were in school, there were so many there. I think Stephanie's class had, Mark, what'd y'all have?
54.
54? Is that what it was? Where did 51 in the senior class. And I think half of them grew up in my house. Because I was a single mom with the 3 kids. We lived in the trailer park there by the school. We were special because we had double wide. And one day when school let out early because the weather was really bad and we had to get all these kids home before the roads froze over. When I finally got home, there was 18 kids at my house. And so we had to make nachos, and the only thing I had to eat, to drink from was purple Kool-Aid. Mitch remembers purple Kool-Aid. So we raised half of Greenwood on nachos and purple Kool-Aid. But it was the kids like that, like Mitch and Mark. John, I was at the ball game at Klondike. Remember that?
Oh, do tell.
I won't tell the whole story, but he didn't get to finish the ball game. And Justin, when he was this tall and the ball boy on the sidelines, because that's what everybody does. You know, you're at ball games. When the band played, I had to hold back tears. I'm doing it right now. Anyway, that's one of the things that I think is so cool about this. Look at this room full of people, and how many of y'all went to school at Greenwood, grew up in Greenwood, are on the board at Greenwood? I was trying to think off the top of my head, and I think there's probably about between 30 and 40 of you, right? Anybody have any idea, Vicki?
There's so many people now, I lost count.
Oh, well, me too. But anyway, that was so cool. The kids that drink purple Kool-Aid at my house now usher you around. You know, him and somebody else was wrestling and broke my couch. And some class borrowed my stereo system because I had a good stereo system. And the good speakers, and they used it at a dance in the cafeteria. And somebody knocked the speakers off the table and busted them all to pieces. But okay, we'll get to it. So y'all can never relate to that because there are just too many of you. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad it's grown. Nobody wants something to be stagnant, but it was so special back then. I never went to a ball game, I don't care if it was in Kansas or wherever, by myself because somebody always needed a ride. I had to buy a Suburban to haul kids around. And we went to the state track meet one year, and the bus broke down, and so everybody that was there had to haul kids home. Okay, that's the way it was. You did what you had to do, and you were glad to do it. Mr. Elliott asked me to tell you about the Ranger man, and I was like, So I told him, I said, I think you're talking about the Lone Ranger. He was like, yeah, that was it. Okay, the Lone Ranger was a Bob Percher thing. And some daddy wrote letters to the football players. And they got them on, I don't know, Thursday, Friday. I don't know if it was Thursday or Friday before the ball game. Well, the Lone Ranger's everybody's hero, right? And this kid graduated, so that daddy wasn't going to do it anymore. So he's like, Linda, you got to be the Lone Ranger. What? Okay, I was the Lone Ranger. And it was corny stuff. But it was so much fun. And we played Crane at that point in time. Well, let me go back one more time. When Stephanie was in high school, starting out in the 9th grade, we were 1A school. When she was a sophomore and a junior, we were 2A school. By the time she got to be a senior, we were 3A school. So we were growing back then. Because you had to stay in that for 2 years, right? Isn't that kind of right? Some of y'all coach people. So in 4 years, we went up as fast as we could, 2 years, and then move us, 2 years, and then move us. So, what was I talking about?
Lone Ranger.
Right, the Lone Ranger. Lone Ranger. That's what happens to you when you've been to Greenwood. I was there 35 years, y'all, sitting in that one bed. Somebody asked me this morning, are you going to talk to us about insurance? I said, heck no. That's not my job anymore. I'm going to tell you about the fun stuff. So the Lone Ranger comes along, and when we were playing these little podunk schools, we hated to go to Big Lake. We hated to go to Crane. That road was so long over there. Okay, you take all this stuff, and the Lone Ranger puts it in a letter to the football players. And they were going to learn how to make golden crane soup. So, yeah, it was, I spent nights worrying about what's the Lone Ranger going to say this week. There was a kind of a theme or whatever each year. And so you kind of had to stay in line with what was going on. One year we were chains because the whole group is only as strong as the weakest link, right? Don't be the weakest link. Lone Ranger wrote stories about chains. So it was, I don't know, when Bucky graduated, then I didn't have to be the Lone Ranger anymore. But I got a silver bullet. So one of my prized possessions, a silver bullet. Mitch told me it was a real one, don't drop it. So, okay, I have some notes, so let me see what my note says. One year, when we had an invitation for our band to participate in the Sun Bowl in El Paso and compete in the marching band contest, everybody was so excited, and we were going to go to El Paso, and we were going to walk away with it all. And then the band director gets sick, and he has pneumonia, and he's in the hospital. And the principal says, okay, Linda, you're going to be the band director. Okay, what do I do? We went to El Paso. We got to charter buses to go to El Paso. We refereed fights. My daughter threw her friend's suitcase out the. Oh, we were staying at the Embassy Suites, and you know they're kind of all in the middle and have the trees and stuff. And the suitcase went sailing out the door and landed in the trees. So besides being the band director, I was the mom. So we had to have a little discussion about that. We marched in the parade. It was 8,000 miles long. Boyd was a tuba player. It was hot. They had on those uniforms, and we were marching in this 8,000-mile long parade. And you know what was so funny about it? We had those band-looking hats, you know, that everybody wore. But the haircuts were short. You know, the guys didn't have long hair. People on the streets noticed that. You never know who's going to notice what they're going to notice, but they noticed the haircut thing, and that's always been a Greenwood thing. There you go. Anyway, we ended up, somebody confiscated Boyd's tuba. I'm not sure what happened to it, but it got heavy after a while. So fights and tubas and whatever else is, we went to, it was during Thanksgiving. We gave up our Thanksgiving to go to El Paso, imagine that. And had a place to eat that was catered that I think about half of us ended up with food poisoning, and some of the others found roaches under their turkey. So it was not really good place to eat, but we won't go there. We had a great time, and we got noticed. Where's Jamie Tedder? Is he here? He was in the band, and the band had the uniforms that had these big cummerbund things with a sash that hung down one side. And we're lined up ready to go out on the field for our marching part of it. And he sneezes. And his cummerbund just goes. So we're trying to get that cummerbund fixed before we go on the field. Trying to find safety pins, hairpins, whatever we can find. One kid shows up with white shoes, and they're supposed to have black shoes. I went and store-bought black spray paint, and I painted it. We did whatever we had to do, right? But it was a great time. I'll always remember that. But I slept all the way home from El Paso to Greenwood. It was a long trip. But we used to go out there to play football and basketball. Y'all remember? Who remembers that? when we played out there in those little podunk towns, because we were a little podunk school, and that was our district. They were in our district out there by El Paso, Clinton, Fabens. So, okay, let me see what I got left on my list. We always hosted basketball tournaments, and so all the moms had to make food for the hospitality room. You know what a pain that is? Coaches, when you host a tournament, cook your own. I don't know how many pans of brownies I made over the years or whatever it was. I got to where I hated basketball tournaments. We made freezers of ice cream for those other teams' coaches so we could show them how cool we were. Baked potatoes, all that stuff. Everybody enjoyed our hospitality rooms for the tournaments. We hated them. I always told my kids, and I know a lot of other kids, parents told their kids also, if you get in school, you're going to get in worse trouble at home. Y'all don't get that opportunity anymore, so I feel for you. It was a different mindset. I know that there's the hover mothers, is that what they're called? And, okay, I might have been one of those. But I wasn't just promoting my kid. I was promoting that teacher also. So y'all have my sympathies when you get the moms who want to tell you how to do your job. You didn't go to school all that time and be in real life and being in real classrooms and all that kind of stuff for somebody's mom to tell you how to do it. So you got my permission. I know I can't say slap them, but that's what you want to do. So it's like I said, it's a whole new mindset, and y'all have my sympathies. But one other thing, when the band was playing, it made me think about this. We used to do this because we were number one. I see you shaking your head, yes. Okay, it's not this. That's a tech thing. This is a Ranger thing. Now, you're gonna still have the people that's doing this because they think that's cool, but this is where it started. We're number one. So don't forget. Tell them don't forget to have Ranger cake on Friday.
All these people, and I am nervous, okay? When I coached, this is what I saw of y'all. I had my back to the stands. Most of the time I couldn't hear that well. But anyway, here goes. Greg said, when the speakers are looking at the audience and you're nervous, you just imagine everybody out there in your underwear and then don't look up again. Okay. My wife's gonna kill me. My wife, I'm gonna start with her because I couldn't do this without her and all the years of being at Greenwood. She was a teacher for Greenwood for 32 years. We had 2 kids during that process. One of them was pretty good, and the other one we had to work on a little bit harder than others. Some of the people in this room had to work real hard on one of them. I have 4 grandkids, proud of every one of them. Don't have them in Greenwood yet, but
we're working hard to get them here. I was going to say something about when I first came to Greenwood, 1977. I came from Iran, that's where I lived. My first year of coaching was in Eagle Pass, Texas. But when I came to Greenwood, I didn't know where Greenwood was. I just knew that a principal there by the name of Max Dickerson said, come apply. I said, okay. And I look up, and Greenwood only played basketball, but they were going to start football. So there was 2 basketball coaches and myself in 1977. And we had the beginning of football, and it was it was trying, but it was everybody was all in. They were going to do their best. But when we had our first pep rally, REN Texas, they had a really, really good band, always had a good band. And I didn't realize how much I missed having a good band until you go to a pep rally and you got your cheerleaders and there's no band. It's quiet. It's kind of like being right now. But when you put the band in there, it made a big difference. And like somebody said a while ago, we had a coach. It was a girls coach, and he was the band director. And he put about 5 people together, and they made a lot of noise, and we had a real pep rally. That's all I can think of, because it was quiet. We also had a swimming pool in Greenwood. Most of y'all never know that. And it got taken up because they had to build classrooms, because we needed classrooms a lot more than we needed a swimming pool. So let me get past that page. 1972 was the first year that they had the new school. They built a brand new school. And at that time in Greenwood, America, because Greenwood, Texas is actually in East Texas. Greenwood, America is what we always said we were. We wasn't Midland Greenwood, we were Greenwood, America. At that time, we had a school, we had the country store, which the Kings, Christy King and her family, they ran the store, and it was Greenwood Baptist Church. That was the only thing really there. Only thing. There was a trailer park behind the store, but that was it. And it's still pretty much that way today. We got more churches, we got a few more stores, but the store back then, and I was reading an article, the person called it Greenwood Gibson's. Some of y'all won't know what the Gibson stores were, but that's what they called it, because you had to go 12 miles to town to get anything back then. When they built the new school, it was total new school. And we got a gymnasium, we got a cafeteria, we got a library, we got a junior high and a high school, and we had 1 grade, 1 class per grade level. That's all we had. And by 1977, after they built the school, we had the word, and I know y'all, it goes around Greenwood, it's called the P word. Anybody know what that P word that we all talk about at Greenwood? And it's not the ugly one you're thinking about. The P word is portables. Some of y'all, that is your classroom. That is your school. Portables. Well, that was the first year in 1977 they added 3 portable buildings. They built the school in 72, and by 77 we were out of room at Greenwood. Sound familiar? The saying, you build it and they will come. Usually they come and then we build it, because that's how it works. That school was built for 300 kids. that brand new school in 1972 they built. So we started out, you know how it grows around here. I'm gonna go through these quick. 1973, there was 171 kids in school. 1974, they graduated 4 seniors that year. Christy King was not one of those. She was in the next grade level. There were 10 the next year. And some of those were Christy, Capri Kimbrough, Becky Cranford, Gil Powell, and there were 6 more. 1976, there was 275 kids in the school. Now you get close to that 300 that they talked about building that school for. By 1977, when I came, we were out of room. We were putting portables up right in front of the elementary. There was 3 of them in the parking lot there. 1981, we went through oil boom. We had 612 kids in school. And we still didn't have a new school at that time. So they came, and now we're going to try to build some more. 1983, we built the new high school, the one that we're in now. And 25 classrooms, 2 gyms. There we go with those gyms again, Roy. 2 shop classes, 2 home ec classes, a band hall and an auditorium, and we had 40 graduating seniors that year. It just grows and grows. That same year, in 1983, they named the football field J.M. King Memorial Stadium. Mr. King donated the land that the school's on. He also donated the land that the Greenwood Baptist Church is on. He was one of the original ranchers that came, and he homesteaded 5,000 acres, and there was other ranches in the area, but he was the one that had that around the school. So he was an integral part of the community. And when we talk about community, that's what Greenwood is. It's a community. We're not a town. We're a community. And everybody that's got up here has talked about how this is a community. The school is really the center part of the community. Community National Bank made y'all's breakfast today. They were great donors, but there you go again with the word community. So it takes all of us to make that community. Even if you don't live out here, you teachers and the staff personnel, y'all are Greenwood. You are the ones that make Greenwood schools what they are. I got hair standing up on my arms right now when I talk about that. You are Greenwood. You are the ones that's going to take those kids that's in your class, whether they're those that can deal you misery, but one of these days, those kids, they're going to come up to you and they're going to tell you, you were the teacher that made a difference. And if that doesn't make you think about all the times that, man, I could have got one more in there. If I got to this kid, I probably got some more, and I guarantee you're going to have more than one. You're going to have many that come up to you after you leave here, and if you come back, because a lot of people leave Greenwood and they come back. I don't know what that magnet is. It's the people. It's the community. It's the school. And when I came this morning and I saw everybody dressed up like this, I thought, my goodness, these people they're excited. It made me excited. I went out there and stood with the band because I like that music out there better than the rap music they were playing in here. I got off task here. James Brooks Middle School, when they built it, we have 2 James Brooks Middle Schools. They built the first one, and that's part of the high school now. And then they built the one across the road that's James Brooks Middle School. We just couldn't build them fast enough for all the people that came. And that's because of y'all. Y'all are the teachers. A building's just bricks. And when I say teachers, I'm talking about bus drivers. Bus drivers can make the biggest difference. And I know that might be the best job in Greenwood, pay-wise. I'm not sure if it's the best job if you're the bus driver. Got to get back on task, like Linda said. I put down here, you will be the difference in many of your kids' life. And I'm going to go and I'm going to talk about, we have a Greenwood paper now, and I got to read in the paper when the seniors graduated. And they give their family, what's their best song they like, best food. But the one that I went through there, I went through the ones that said, what was their favorite teacher? And it was pretty impressive when they talked about their teacher. There's a few that didn't mention any teachers, okay? But all of them had a favorite teacher. And that's just the ones that were graduating. The kindergarten graduation, if we ever get those, we can put them all in one place again. I don't know if that's possible. But those kindergartners, first, second grade, all the way up, they got a favorite. You're a favorite teacher somewhere in there. You make that difference. When you get up in the morning and you've got all your kids and you're trying to get them ready to go to school, your own, and then you got to get there and put a smile on your face. Sometimes that's hard to do. But when my wife, she has a box full of, I call it papers or things that come from where she taught. And when those kids wrote her some of those, I'm going to get emotional. Some of the little simple things they wrote of why they liked her, just unbelievable. So you make a difference, and you may be the only person that has a smile on when your little second graders get off the bus and they didn't have a good day and they didn't get breakfast, and you are, whether it's a pencil or whatever, you can make a difference every day with those kids, and they'll remember you. And I just, I came to this place in Greenwood, America, and I thought I was a coach. And if you're a coach, you're going to move. That's just how that works. And I came here, and I'm still here. And I love the community. I love the people. I love Little League. I love Pee Wee football games. Maybe not so much sometimes the parents standing on and leaning on the fence, but most of the time, they're great people in Greenwood. My last deal is, I was reading one of the articles that Christy gave me, trying to learn a little bit more about Greenwood. And there was a girl that graduated in 1988. Her name was Julie Mollering. She wrote an article in a Midland College pamphlet. She went to Midland College. She graduated from her four-year school later on. And she went out like all of us, going to get her a big job. She goes to work for the federal government. She was working at the Alfred P. Murray Federal Building in Oklahoma City. And she was one of 168 people that lost their life that day. But that girl, she made a difference when she was at Greenwood, when she was going to Greenwood. She wrote the article about Greenwood from where it started to finish when she was at Midland College. Greenwood graduates are special. We're not all going to be college students. We're not all going to be a have a trade like electrician or a plumber, many of them come back and go to work here at this school right now, whether it's driving a bus, working in maintenance, coaching. There's a lot of them here. And that says a lot for the teachers that taught them, because they came back to Greenwood, America. And they love it still. And I can't get enough of it myself sometimes, so I just need to end right now. But I appreciate Mr. Elliott for letting me come up here. And I appreciate every one of y'all. I'm not nervous now, so I'm not seeing you in your underwear. But anyway, I appreciate y'all, and y'all all Greenwood Rangers and Greenwood Rangerettes. I love every one of y'all. It's a great, great staff. So, thank you.
When I was asked to share what Greenwood means to me, the first thing that came to mind was family. Greenwood is like a second family to me. I have, this will be my 29th year to be at Greenwood, and I've spent a lot of hours planning and teaching with my fellow teachers and admin, and they become like my family because we have the same mindset. We are striving for the same goal, to give our kids the best education that we possibly can. And so I always thought it was really cool that my kids could go to Greenwood here from kindergarten through high school, because those classmates became their family too, and their families became our families, and then we've grown as a community. And so the one thing that they all had in common, even if they may not know everybody in that class, they're all Greenwood Rangers. So having close-knit friends, having close-knit families have grown into a close-knit community. And I think that's why a lot of people want to return to Greenwood and raise their kids here, because they want the kids to have the same thing that they experienced. And so I'm very glad to be a Greenwood Ranger. I'm really proud of that. Sorry, I'm hitting the thing too loud. I feel like the community that we have at Greenwood is an awesome community. They're very generous, and whenever there's a need, the families show up big. And so I'm really proud of being a part of that. Probably over the years, I could have gone to other school districts and made a little bit more money, but it was never about the money. It's always about the family and the part of the community that you wanted to be a part of. So now y'all are my family this year. I'm proud that y'all are here, and I hope y'all have a great school year.
Welcome. Thank you so much. This is amazing, and my heart is beating so fast, but it is just, it makes me so proud and happy to see all of your faces. And my family is relatively new to Greenwood compared to what you've heard the other people speak of. We'll be here for 4 years this fall, and I've cried a couple times this morning hearing everybody's stories about family and community. And when I moved to Midland, and when my husband and I got married, I thought, when we have kiddos, I want them to grow up in Greenwood. I've heard wonderful things about the Greenwood School District, the teachers, like everybody said this morning, the family and the community. And I'm just so excited to be a part of that. And I see it in your faces, and getting to meet y'all and know the teachers a little bit better. You love these kiddos, and that is, as a mom, that is incredible. I'm gonna cry right now just talking about it, but it has just been a delight to listen to everybody this morning and their love for Greenwood, and everybody gathered here about to start our new school year. I think I'm more emotional. Our oldest starts kindergarten next Thursday in Greenwood, so it's just lots of emotion for our family, but we're really, really, really excited. I'm excited to be here So I'll get back to my speech before they kick me off the stage. And my name is Melissa Dixon, and I have the honor of serving on the Greenwood Board of Trustees. On behalf of the board, I'd like to say just a few words this morning, and it's with great pride and immense joy that I stand before you today on this momentous occasion. Convocation marks not just the beginning of a new academic year, but also the renewal of our collective commitment to education, growth, and the boundless potential within each and every one of you. First off, I want to extend a warm welcome to our new faculty and their families. A new school district can be both exciting and challenging, but rest assured you are joining a community that values inclusivity, support, and academic excellence. And if you've listened this morning, I feel like that just is, even more so with the speeches that we've received. To our returning faculty, welcome back. And your dedication and spirit are what make this school district a vibrant place of learning and discovery. To all of our incredible Greenwood ISD staff, thank you. Your unwavering commitment to fostering a nurturing and intellectually stimulating environment does not go unnoticed. You are the backbone of this institution, and your efforts shape the future of our students in profound ways. Education is not merely about absorbing information. It is about questioning, exploring, and understanding the world around us. It is about developing critical thinking, empathy, and resilience. As you embark on this academic year, I encourage you to be curious, to take risks, and to never shy away from challenges. It is through these experiences that you will discover your strengths and passions. Our world today is rapidly changing, and the skills you help students develop will prepare them to navigate and contribute to this dynamic landscape. You are teaching our future leaders, innovators, and change makers. The knowledge they learn from you will empower them to make a positive impact on society. In conclusion, let this convocation be a celebration of our collective efforts and aspirations. Let it remind us of the power education has to transform lives and communities. Together, let us strive for excellence and work towards a brighter future for all students. May this academic year be filled with success, growth, and memorable experiences for all of us. Thank you again for all your hard work you do.
I'm all the emotions this morning. I told Mr. Elliott I've already cried this morning. I called Tanya Martindale crying this morning. And then you have to know Carolyn Dunn and Linda Logan. Those are like second moms to me. I grew up at their house. The two places I was when I wasn't at my own home were their homes. Their daughters were some of my best friends. And then, of course, who could have a better dad than me? So, really emotional, lots of things this morning. But, so Bobby talked about it, Coach Harrison was my 7th grade history teacher. He talked about it, but I started Greenwood in a portable, 7th grade, sorry. He was my 7th grade teacher. There we go. In kindergarten, I started Greenwood in 1977 in a portable in Greenwood. In the kindergarten building, one of my biggest memories is 4th grade. Some people find this hard to believe, but I got a lot of licks in 4th grade. I got a lot of trouble in 4th grade because we were, for those of you that are old Greenwood, you know when that library was built, there was no walls to it. It was, the brick came up to your waist and the walls were open. So we were growing so much, they had to put 2 4th grade classes in there. We're side by side, no wall in between, no wall. You can see the kids up and down the hallway walking. And looking back, I really feel for those teachers. I don't know how they survived that. But I'm a survivor of that because we got in a lot of trouble that year for talking and such. So maybe that's one reason I'm so quiet these days and don't have much to say. But anyway, I do have a lot to say when it comes to Greenwood. And I'm going to get emotional, I'm going to tell you that, because I'm a mom of Greenwood Rangers, I'm a graduate of Greenwood, I'm a granddaughter, all the things, but I'm also a Greenwood survivor. And we joke about 307, but there's a cross on 307 that is part of a story. And I just remember this, I'm sitting there this morning, and I'm like, God has been so good to me. Because there was a night in 1987 that I could have lost my life on 307. And there's a cross there that reminds me every day how blessed I am that God allowed me, and He has a purpose for me. And so just sitting here this morning, I'm like, this is part of my purpose. This is part of why He did not take my life that night. Family and community, that's what Greenwood means to me. In thinking through our district recently, I've concluded that we are the biggest little school in Texas. Though we find ourselves busting at the seams, outgrowing every building and every parking lot, and making 1379 and 307 a corner like none other, we still hold tightly to our small district roots, our faith-filled community, and our compassion and care for one another. The Ranger family is a real thing, and I want to highlight, to reflect on those actions, those things through the years that make us who we are. I want to begin with the history behind our district's Fighting Heart Award. I contacted Bob Purser and asked him to write a piece for me. This is what he said. The Fighting Heart Award was presented for the first time in the spring of 1988. It was named in memory of Tommy O'Brien, who was a senior in 1988. Tommy was killed tragically in an auto accident on New Year's Eve of 1987. Tommy was a fighter in everything he did. He played extremely hard. He was a really good football player and a really good competitor. When I first came to Greenwood, one of the things I remember is having competition day. Tommy and his brother Jimmy were racing in the hurdles. They each dove for the finish line, and then they both skinned up their knees and their hands. They had no fear of anything. Tommy played football like that, with no fear. The O'Brien family was really close-knit. There were 5 boys with a faith-filled mom and dad that were all great people. Losing Tommy was heartbreaking to the community of Greenwood, but that honor, the fighting heart, continues in memory of Tommy, and now to all those kids who give great effort and have great fight. That's my memory where the fighting heart began, and hopefully it continues that way. Coach Bob Purser. Now I'm going to go into something that I wrote a couple of years ago, and I revised it a bit. You're going to hear some of the same things that you've already heard, but that just means that just identifies us as a district that much more. We are Greenwood. Amongst all the chants, cheers, and t-shirts our community has, this phrase is my favorite. You see, we are Greenwood. Who we are is not Midland Greenwood. That would liken us to Legacy High School, known as Midland Legacy of Midland ISD. We're not part of MISD. We are GISD. We are Greenwood. Our community is in Midland County, and we pay taxes to Greenwood Independent School District. We are Greenwood. We built our district off the backs of dry land farmers and a wavering oil economy. We are Greenwood. We are residents of county roads patrolled by the Sheriff's Department and live without city lights, although we have been forced into having stoplights. We are Greenwood. We could not and did not vote for the Midland mayor nor any other matters of the city of Midland. We are Greenwood. Call us Greenwood of Midland County or the Greenwood community, for we are not Greenwood, Texas. We are Greenwood. We are a proud country school that is busting at the seams, not only with people from across Texas and the nation, but with pride. We are Greenwood. They say build it and they will come, but we say they are coming. We've got to build. We are Greenwood. We do not have a mayor nor a courthouse, But we do have a school board and a superintendent that love this district to their core. We are Greenwood. We educate, teach, play, coach, and learn on land donated by a man of agriculture. We are Greenwood. We are named after 2 traveling missionaries just spreading the love of Jesus. We are Greenwood. Our field house is named after a man whose goal in his ministry was to share Jesus with every student walking our graduation stage. We are Greenwood. We take pride in our Ranger family and care for one another deeply by hat days, t-shirt days, and hamburger and barbecue cook-offs to lessen the burden of sickness, tragedy, and death. We are Greenwood. We pray for and work to meet one another's needs. We are Greenwood. We are supported by an administration that cares for our families and us as individuals. We are Greenwood. We have names and memories and memorials of Rangers that have departed this life before us all throughout our district. We are Greenwood. We cram our celebrations, our awards, our concerts, our one-act plays, our heartaches, and our accomplishments into an auditorium we have outgrown. It makes us who we are. But the good news is we have a bigger one coming. We receive our mail by a Midland address, yet we are Greenwood. We have exciting times and we have exciting times and a bright future ahead of us. We are Greenwood. So to those of you who are new to our district, I say welcome to the Ranger family, and I hope that you give your hands and heart to our Ranger way of doing things. And to those who have been here through the years, let's commit to continue to take care of our Ranger family, to set our district apart and not falter in caring for one another. As we expand to acres beyond our 307 corner, let us not forget our cornerstone, our connection, and our community that make us who we are. Call us Greenwood ISD, call us Greenwood of Midland County, call us Greenwood in West Texas. Please understand, we are unique. Our roots run deep. We are the Rangers. We are the white and blue. We are Greenwood.
Before I get started with quick notes I put together, I want to share 2 stories with you that blessed my heart, and one was just kind of dumbfounded me. But the first one, David King called me about 10 years ago and asked me to drive an early morning route. You got to get on that bus about 6 o'clock, Coach Lyle. Head on down 11:30 and start picking those kids up. I had a map I was looking at. I was driving real slow and it's pitch dark. You can barely see, and there's little kids, kindergarten all the way through, at that time, probably 5th, 6th grade, standing on the side of the road when we get on the bus. And it's December, it's cold. And I thought I had everybody on at the second stop. There was a line of them, they kept getting on, and I was fixing to shut the door, and I looked way down there, down this collegiate road, and there's this mother and this little, probably 2nd grader, running for that bus. That little boy had a blanket on. He was cold, didn't have a coat. Anyway, he come to the bus. I put the door back open. I made sure the lights are still flashing. And as soon as he gets to the bus, he throws that blanket in the air. His mama caught that blanket. He jumped on the bus, gave me a hug. So they need us. I promise you that. But that mama, it was important for her to get that kid to school. That's the one that'll break your heart. The next one, I'm not sure what year you graduated, but Justin Outlaw's playing safety for us. He's doing a lot of things. He's a good football player. We're out there on that sticker patch, practicing football, dust blowing, and we had a defensive back coaching for us at that time, a great person named Billy Kidd. So there's Justin Outlaw, and Billy Kidd's coaching him, and believe it or not, there's a coach from SMU walks up, his name's Johnny Ringo. And I said, man, this place getting better and better. As Coach Elliott said, my name is Coach Lyles. I first came to this district in 1994. My been in and out of this place a few times. God kept bringing me back. Before I go any further, before I start reading, there's a video that I show my kids every year, a patriotic video of a guy named Roy Benavides. He's a patriot in every sense of the word in America. You ever get a chance to put him up and listen to him, you need to do so. Bless your heart. But before he speaks on this video I show my kids, he says, I'm not a very eloquent speaker, so get ready, all right? I'm not too sure how good I'll do. So, people ask me quite often about West Texas. That's an easy one for me to answer. We're in the middle of blue-collar, hard-working America. That American dream is still alive in West Texas. You can go be whatever you want to be, right? People aren't afraid to roll their sleeves up and go to work out here. Greenwood Schools and the substance that it has to offer young people and their families, in my opinion, is irreplaceable. Irreplaceable. I had coached and taught for a pretty good while. Those men and those fathers that I coached will stand and remove their hats when they say hello to my wife. I know that's old-fashioned, but it's still important out here. There are great people all over this community in these schools. Respect and accountability are still important. They're valued out here. This school and the people that live here proudly support our veterans. It lifts your heart to see our student body celebrate that service of those veterans. From songs to skits to a meal to the individual recognition that they give each and every one of those men and women is impressive, to say the least. We line the streets between the schools when our wounded warriors drive by on their way to hunt for heroes. You'll see more American flags waving on the side of 1379 than you'll see at any presidential rally. Most of our young ladies that I've taught and coached over the years are now mothers and wives and are some of the strongest people in this community. It's been said we've been saved in an instant. It takes a lifetime to develop what the good Lord is doing inside of us. And Greenwood has that community that truly wants the best for all of us. I've taught and coached in other places, and they were all good places. But none of them compare to Greenwood. We're the last city on the hill, so to speak, when it comes to teaching and modeling the important qualities that young people so desperately need. I heard Coach Hill say one time last year when he was speaking to our staff, he said accountability is not what you do to someone, it's what you do for someone. I truly appreciate those on our school board, our administration, and our teachers at the front of the line that fight those battles every day, trying to uphold the important values that young people so desperately need. I know it's hard work because it's the foundation of a young person that we're building. We all know how important education is, but if it's truly only about math, English, and science, then we're going to be average at best. We'll be like everyone else, and I don't think anyone in this room wants that. We must invest in what will endure, our young people. We're at a place that will not only support us, but they expect that of us. The greatest contribution you and I may make to this world will not be what we do, but who we raise and who we help raise. I love this community and these schools. One reason I can still say that after so many years is because I truly live and work in a place that has great young people, and they honestly give me purpose and hope every day. What we really do does matter. We need to make sure we don't squander a single moment. I'm going to leave you with this, and if you heard anything I said, I hope you hear this, and then I'm done. I heard this at a coaching school a good while back, a long time ago in fact. A man named Nick Saban said to a room full of several thousand young coaches, he asked this one simple question. He said, when you pray, do you ask to be blessed or do you ask to be a blessing? That resonated with me, and I hope it does you. Thanks for your time. Thanks for choosing Greenwood, and have a great year.